What's up guys, this is Michael from the band and Vice Versa. In this video I'm going to talk about how I do the higher type scream that you can hear me do in many of my vocal covers of my band's music. You can also hear it in the intro to this video. I do plan on releasing a couple more videos, one that maybe talks about how to do lower screams and maybe one that talks about how to do rougher type singing that you might hear me do. So please subscribe or stay tuned if you're interested in listening to those. There's a couple things that we have to talk about before we get into the actual technique behind screaming. These are very important to listen to. You probably could die while screaming if you skip this next part, so don't skip it. The first thing is hydration. I'm not going to spend a long time talking about this. Just know what your body needs to be in a hydrated state. It doesn't mean you can't drink soda and all that stuff. Just understand your body, and you know when you're in a hydrated state. If your mouth's dry, you're obviously dehydrated. It's very important to be hydrated because your vocals will come out much smoother and it would just be a lot more successful of a session, because when you're dry you just can't do anything. The second thing is strengthening your vocal muscles. It's just like if you were to go into a gym. You can't just walk into a gym and pick up 100-pound dumbbells and start curling them. You have to start small, strengthen your muscles until you get up to that point. The same thing goes for singing in general. Even if you have the right technique right off the bat with screaming, you might not be able to do it because you haven't strengthened and conditioned your vocal muscles to be able to even do it in the first place yet. The learning process behind learning to scream, it can be very difficult and long. It took me about 2 years to even get my basic high scream down, and then it took another 6 months to a year to be able to get it down consistently. So if you really want to learn to scream, be in it for the long run and be dedicated. You're going to keep practicing and practicing, and you're going to keep failing and failing and failing and failing, and it's going to be kind of depressing. But the good thing about as you keep practicing and failing is you're starting to understand your vocal muscles better. You're understanding how your body works better. You start to understand where certain sounds come from, what the wrong technique was, etc. So just keep practicing and you're going to get better eventually over time. Pain and practice kind of go hand in hand here. Pain is to be expected when you first start out. I mean, these are extreme vocals. Relating it back to going to the gym. If you haven't worked out a lot and you go right into the gym, you're going to feel a little bit of pain and maybe soreness, but there's two different types of pain. That soreness that you get from going to the gym, or the achy feeling, is okay because you don't use these muscles a lot. But if you have pain in a specific spot, or I've heard people coughed up blood and stuff like that, that's bad. So if that happens, just stop and try again in a couple days or however long you need to recover. As far as a practice schedule goes, when I first started off, I would practice once every couple days. I mean, it's so hard and you do so many things wrong. You just can't push it too far because you're going to end up damaging your vocal cords. And as you keep practicing, you're going to be able to do it more consistently until you get to a point of where you can do it almost every day and it doesn't hurt at all and you can talk fine afterwards. The last thing is confidence. You will not be able to get your scream out if you are holding back at all. That doesn't mean putting more force into your scream. That just means you have to be 100% committed to the sound that you're making. If you're a little worried because your mom's upstairs or you live with your friends and they hate your metal music and you're worried the sound that they're going to hear, you're not going to be able to scream. So I really suggest doing it alone, or just saying fuck it and just doing it. But you cannot hold back at all. You have to be committed to the sound you're making, otherwise it's not going to come out good. So now we're going to talk about the technique behind the actual screaming. Just know that most of learning to scream is done on your own through trial and error. You might be able to take tips from certain videos that might help you, but most of it is done on your own in understanding your vocal cords. The scream that I do is different than other people's screams. Everybody has their own unique voice, but I believe the technique that I use is similar to bands like the Devil Wears Prada, Of Mice and Men, and Stray from the Path. So if you're into that type of scream, then this might be something that you might want to listen to. There's two different parts to the scream that I do. One is my voice, and one is the gritty, screamy, scratchy sound that you hear. And when you combine these both together, you're able to come out with this type of scream. When you do those things on their own, when you're just yelling, it's stupid, it doesn't really fit good. and the screamy, gritty sound on its own is very light and not powerful. So you have to combine both of these together to get the overall scream that you're trying to get. So I would assume most people know how to use their voice and talk or yell, so we don't really have to talk about the voice part of the scream, but the gritty, scratchy type part that you hear behind a scream is a little bit more difficult to grasp. Just to give you an idea, it's a sound similar to this. La! That's not a scream in itself. That's a very stupid sound, but it's something that you need to know how to do to be able to put together to make a full scream. The way I learned how to do that sound was, a lot of people tell you in videos at first to do the grudge sound, which is something like you can just YouTube the grudge and you can hear that sound. It's a sound that I think most people can do. And once you get that sound down, kind of push a little bit harder from your diaphragm to make that grudge sound a little bit more distorted, so it'd be like and once you get a little bit more distorted, you want to kind of take it to even another level and push more air through your vocal cords that you have closed for the most part, and give you a sound that's like low. And that's basically the grit, screamy type sound that you hear behind the screams that I do. That sound itself is not a scream, not even close to a scream. It's really stupid sounding. If you try recording yourself doing that and you go to a producer with screams like that, he's gonna laugh at you. When you make that sound, you can feel the sound almost coming from the roof of your mouth, the back roof of your mouth, like where your throat starts to go down. It feels like it's coming from up at the top right there. And you need to memorize that feeling, memorize where it's coming from. So once you get that gritty, grungy type sound down and you're able to do it perfectly with no pain, you can then attempt to do a full scream. I like to start my scream off with my yelling voice, like a pure yell, and as the first word progresses, it turns into the scream itself. I find it a lot easier to do it this way as opposed to just starting right off with a scream. It's just a lot easier to activate the vocal cords the way you need to get that scream sound. If you were to listen to one of my screams in slow motion or slow audio, at the start of the word you would hear a yell like hey, and the yell would turn into the scream. So to do that, you yell and then close your vocal cords. So hey, you close your vocal cords completely, but instead of just stopping right there, you maintain that force that you are using from your diaphragm to create that yell and continue to push through the closed vocal cords. Memorize where the sounds are coming from in your throat. Like when you did that gritty sound, you felt it from the top back of the roof of your mouth. When you do a high-pitched yell, you feel it from the top back roof of your mouth. And when you do the full scream together, it's all coming from the top back roof of your mouth. And just understanding where that feeling's coming from will help you out a lot. I'm going to give you guys 2 audio samples now, meaning 2 actual MP3 files that I pulled off of my computer and I'm putting into the video. The first one is a raw scream from the mic, through the mic preamp directly into the computer, and the second sample is that same exact scream but with some producer effects on it. The reason for these audio files is because if I were to scream directly into the camera mic, it would make my scream appear a lot more brutal and louder than what it actually is. That's what camera mics tend to do.
The truth of one lies only within. The truth of one lies only within. The truth of one lies only within.
So if you want to be a hardcore or metal vocalist, just understand that it's going to take some dedication. When I first started off, I was really bad. Probably worse than many of you first starting off. But I stayed with it. I was very dedicated to it. You know, I have a dream and I plan on making it true, and I hope you guys are the same way. So thanks for watching the video. Stay tuned if you want to see some other videos that I have coming out in the next couple weeks. I have probably 50 or 60 vocal covers on this channel alone that you guys can listen to, and I will put the links to my band and my band's social media below as well. So thank you, and I look forward to hearing from some of you.